Hey, business law folks. Tons of stuff in the world of law and legal news. I think you'll find that pretty interesting as of late. I just want to highlight a couple of things. There is a Flipgrid chapter due, or a Flipgrid discussion due this week. Two things on that. One, there was some sort of a setting on it that made it hidden for you. It's now available. So I'm going to extend that Flipgrid due date out to next week, Monday. So I'll give you a whole nother week to respond. Many of you have put things out there already, but couldn't see it and couldn't respond to anyone. So I'm going to give you a whole nother week to respond. So I won't even look at grading that until spring break sometime. So you have all this week to get in there. And if you need a little bit more time, send me a message if you had plans to go somewhere. That was my bad. I don't know what happened. So that's the one thing. The second thing is don't forget to respond to another person in that Flipgrid. So all you have to do when you're in the Flipgrid is select the little box. So let's see, let's say I'm listening to Patrick. Oh, this is the one he didn't say anything on, but let's say and then I want to respond. I just hit this little green bubble, like sound bubble, and then I can respond to him. I'm not going to do that because it will stop my video. But anyway, you know what I'm referring to. So that's how you respond to those Flipgrids. I would highly appreciate it if you do that. Also, if for some reason, I know I've had a few people in the past that had surgeries or in the hospital, things like that, and were uncomfortable sharing their video for that week because they just didn't feel like they were feeling very good. You just let me know if that's the case. The reason why we do have videos in here for Flipgrid is for engagement purposes. Many of you I don't get to see until graduation, and sometimes I don't get to see at all. So I just want to make sure that I can see you and get to know you from an engagement perspective. I also think that the discussions are a lot more robust if people know who everyone is. You guys hold each other accountable, and in a business setting, generally for the most purposes, you're seeing either your customers or the people you work with. So think of that as a workplace, and we're just sharing information. For quite a few years, I actually had the ability to work virtually. I was an HR business partner for Schneider National for a few years, where I actually had leaders that I supported and worked with that were abroad and in many different cities across the United States. So I worked with folks in the Czech Republic. I also worked with folks in the United States, but in different regional centers like Texas and California, all over. So I had to figure out how to build relationships and work virtually. And I can tell you that an email or a written format isn't really the best option for that. So I do think it helps if we have that ability to kind of see each other and do some face-to-face things. So that level of engagement is helpful for me, and will be continually be helpful for you, I think, as you're put in different work situations where that might become necessary. So I know that it's a little uncomfortable in the beginning, but it does get better. I promise you. So the other thing I wanted to just kind of talk through a couple of things that will be coming up. One of them is the courtroom assessment. So let me just talk to you a little bit about the courtroom assessment. This is to actually get you into the courthouse. It's for a current court case, not something that you might have been through in the past. But I'd love for you to visit a courthouse and do a little bit of evaluation now that you've been thinking about law and understanding some of the things that are going into court cases. To be able to sit through and see a few of them is really critical. There is a link in here, this Wisconsin Courts link. You can certainly click on that link and you can see what is happening in your area. So I'll show you how to do this. I just go to calendar. This is not the link. Let me see. Do this. So I want to do Brown County. This looks different. They must have changed the screen, so I apologize for that. So I'm not going to select the court official, but I am going to select a date range, and usually it's about a week out that they know. So I'm just going to select this week, just so they see you can. This is all that they have in there anyway, and I'm going to search. So usually they make you do an accepting, like you're accepting the information that's out here, and then they'll show you all the court cases. So All I did was I went up to calendar, I did court, and then I selected the county that I was in. So you might be in a different county. And this is for Wisconsin. So if for some reason you're out of state, they do have this access in other states as well. It'll vary depending on where you're at. But then it'll tell me all the different court cases that are happening at 8, 8:15, 8:30. If it says state of Wisconsin versus, that is generally criminal court. If it is something that, if it's restricted, sometimes it's related to children, things like that, then you can't go in there, but it'll say restricted if that's the case. This is the first time I've actually seen that. In the marriage of, those are more marital things. I'm trying to see if there is a not marriage. Okay, this one, Kathleen Kaiser versus Anne Marie Kaiser. So this is actually probably a tort, something not criminal, and I'm not really sure. It could be like maybe a property issue or something like that, but those are the ones that you can see that aren't necessarily criminal. If you scroll through here, there's so many of them. Troy Desjardins versus Michael Ireland. Again, that's going to be not a criminal thing. Brown County versus is also probably going to be criminal. City of De Pere as well. So you can kind of see the difference. Here's a financial versus Sharon Peace. If you see an insurance company versus, that tends to be like car accident type of settlements. So lots of things. There could be estate issues. There could be a whole bunch of different things that could be coming on. Now, many of these things won't actually happen. They get settled before the court case actually happens. So it's good to always look the day before you want to go. But then also when you go to the courthouse, you can ask for, what's the best place to go. Tell them what you're looking for, and they'll get you to the right courtroom, so you'll actually get to see some things. So a lot of the activities that you see here, pretrial conference, plea sentencing hearing, very different things, okay? So some of these cases might be very quick. So if it's like a status conference, it might be 15 minutes, and you might get like 10 of them in a row, and you're not getting much out of it. So you may have to sit there a little bit longer. Or you might be in a hearing, a sentence hearing, or a full hearing, and you might get a lot of information out of it, and get to see how people are doing this. Court trial, this is an actual trial, so this would be a really interesting one to sit through, should that happen, okay? So each one is going to be a little bit different in the length and the timing. So I don't have like you have to be there for 3 hours. I don't have anything like that, but you have to write about 3 pages. So you want to be there long enough that you can get enough information to write 2 to 3 pages of responses. I have some questions to think about while you're there, so you can take some notes. The judge may ask you why you're sitting in the courtroom. And mostly it's because that if you're part of the testimony, like you're going to get up to testify, you can't be in the courtroom. So they just want to know if you're observing for a class, they might ask you what class and what school. And then sometimes in breaks, they might invite you back to their chambers and let you ask questions. So it's, they do a pretty nice job most times, especially if they're not like super stressed, to help you with anything that you know. Also, definitely the courtroom workers, whether it be the bailiffs or whoever they have in the courtroom at the time, they're usually pretty friendly too, and at breaks will talk to you and give you some kind of insight, so you can get some more information if you're curious. You'll find that once you do this once, you may want to go back time and time again. So I know that not everybody's going to be able to get into the courthouse. So you get a bonus of 20 points if you get to the courthouse. So it's great extra credit if you get in. If you can't get into a courthouse, there are a number of sites that will give you actual real court cases. So the uscourts.gov has some video archives. They're not real recent ones, but you can definitely watch them. This Mental Floss has a great listing of some of the famous court cases, like I'm thinking of O.J. Simpson and some of those things. If you never got to see it, some of those are interesting to watch. So those are out here. And then CVN.com also has live broadcasts of court cases. Some are free and some make you sign up for them. So you'll just have to play around with that. What I don't want is like a Judge Judy. That's more of an arbitration, so it's not a real court case. So I'm looking for more real, if we still have Court TV, that would be the greatest. But that's kind of what I'm thinking of. If for some reason there's something going on during this the next couple weeks that is live on TV and they broadcast it, you can certainly use that as well. It'd just be a live broadcast, not a recorded one. Like we had that murder trial last semester, and that was fine for people to watch. Okay. So I hope that helps you with that courtroom analysis. So I wanted to give you a little bit of insight there. The Wisconsin Court website is right here as well. That will get you there. And then this is where you submit your courtroom assessment. So everything is there for that one. And then our next Flipgrid, I believe, is going to be due for after Hazy Topic, is going to be due for the current event one, which is April 22nd. And the current event Flipgrid is right here. And really it's looking at a current topic or session. You can do this at any time. So if you think about it over spring break and want to get it taken care of, you can certainly go ahead and post it. Just don't forget to go back out and respond to somebody. But there are a number of really interesting things happening in the legal world, and I think this is a great place to put that and talk about some of those things that are happening. Jussie Smollett as an example. The trick to this one though is not to repeat your legal cases. So the earlier you get out there, the better, because then you can maybe use the one that you picked. But there's a TV show on 2020 on Friday night that looks really interesting. There's a ton of really good stuff out there right now. Lots happening in the legal world, so you can definitely use any of that. And when you get in there, I do give you a little bit of a guideline on kind of what to talk about, whether it be an article or a news story. You can share links, whatever you'd like. Okay? So I hope that helps get you going. If you have any other questions, let me know.